Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of our Arsenal news show, joining you every morning at 8 a.m. UK time. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. This morning's show is going to be a significantly shorter one. It's still live. Still going to take a couple of questions if I can at the end. Reason for that is I'm in the office this morning and getting a train in about 40 minutes time. So I need to make sure that I'm off, ready, and yet still getting this uploaded for you guys to listen to on audio platforms as well. So apologies that this is going to be slightly shorter, but hopefully we can still be as comprehensive and still take some of your questions in the show as well. But good morning to people joining us live in the chat box. Matt G, Condare, Marcus, Blackshine, Johnny, Carl, Darren. We've got Anthony, Afsar, Franklin, Martin, Carlton, Dave. We've got Sandman, Peter, MJ10, and we've also got Channel Fuel, who's a long-time listener, first-time commenter. Love the show. Tom will be a member soon, I think. Thank you so much for the kind words and support on the channel. Everyone is welcome to join up as a brand new member of the channel. Of course, then you can join our Discord server if you are indeed a TGT ambassador or an expert member. I'd also like to say a big thank you to Matt Tomo, who says in the chat box, shorter show, that's it, I'm cancelling my membership. Well, what I would say about memberships is Matt Tomo was very kind at the end of the last morning show that we did to donate 5 memberships to random members of our listening audience. So if you were one of those very lucky 5 people, congrats and welcome to the family. And Matt, thank you so much for being so generous and sharing out some memberships in the chat box as well. Very kind of you indeed. Let's, without further ado, though, get on to today's stories. We start with Arsenal ending their 4-year trophy drought with their League Cup win over Leicester. Goals from Blackstenius, Kim Little and Raphael ensures that Arsenal were able to overcome a 1-0 deficit scored within just 2 minutes by Sam Kerr. Sam is a fantastic player and certainly Chelsea's best, I think we can all agree. But Arsenal were able to overcome arguably, probably the best team in England, if not currently the world, even though there are some very good teams abroad, to win the League Cup. And Jonas Eidevall in particular very much needed this trophy. Had really been kind of increasingly under a bit of pressure. I think contextually, to be without the likes of, did I say Leicester? Sorry, over Chelsea. I don't know what's wrong with me this morning. Over Chelsea in the League Cup. But yeah, Jonas Eidevall has been very much under pressure. And I think personally undue criticism of Jonas Eidevall, because without Beth Mead, without Viv Miedemar, he absolutely deserves the credit for the goals going well, as do they, of course. And I think it's a fantastic achievement. The WSL is not over for Arsenal. They still have 2 games in hand to still get up to the top with Chelsea, not Leicester, Chelsea. And we'll certainly be giving it their all. But England will hope that Beth Mead is, of course, fit for the summer as well, because we're really going to need her available then. But a massive, massive achievement, and ending that 4-year drought was a really important thing that we needed to do. So there you go. Lovely stuff. Manchester United were humbled 7-0 by Liverpool at the Anfield clash of what many people think is kind of the biggest game of English football. But Man United getting humbled is always an exciting fixture. Now, if you want to hear further thoughts and further detail of me and Mike and Bailey, you can listen to our show that we did yesterday, talking about Arsenal's fantastic weekend, title challenges ending for Man United, even if there was one, which I don't think I ever really committed to, and Arsenal laughing at their rivals as well in Spurs losing, and of course their big win over Bournemouth on Saturday. So yes, plenty to be excited about as an Arsenal fan, but this weekend in particular was absolutely fantastic. A really good weekend of football for Arsenal, men and women's teams, and of course a hilarious one for our rivals as well. Now, Gabriel Jesus was spotted taking part in the player warm-downs after the Bournemouth win. You can see him in this image here on your screens, and this is great news, really good. It means that we are getting really quite close to seeing Gabriel Jesus return. And with the situation surrounding Eddie Nketiah and Leandro Trossard, who both have suffered with what could potentially be some medium-term injuries, we'll get some more information on those injuries on Wednesday when Mikel Arteta faces the press ahead of the game against Sporting on Thursday in the Europa League. What I would say is that Gabriel Jesus doing these little training sessions, getting involved with the first team, is really really good. So hopefully we see him back in the field very soon indeed. Now, Arsenal have reportedly opened contract talks with Nelson. However, a deal is not said yet to be closed between the club and the player. We talked about this in depth yesterday about how Arsenal, up until this point, had not been even considering opening contract talks with Reiss Nelson. However, the player and the club are said to be now in discussions. Nelson has come out publicly in the past and said that if they offered him a deal, he would accept it. What kind of deal Arsenal would offer remains to be seen. But there is said to be certainly confidence by Arsenal, if they were indeed to offer him a brand new deal, that he would accept it. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Nelson. Obviously, I don't think one game can change everything. I don't think one game can change the whole future of a player. But, I can feel a TGT sneeze is coming. Is it coming? Every time I say it's coming, it then disappears. I think that's the way that you scare it away. Yes, it's gone. It's gone. We've survived. But yes, Reiss Nelson, I don't think that you can make a decision on one game about a player. For me, I would wait to the end of the season because I'm so confident that he would sign a new deal if we offered him one, that we can kind of see that he would wait and we would wait, and then we can have a look at what's happened over the course of the campaign and then make a decision. But this time, you have to say that whenever he's come off the bench in these big moments, he's made an impact. So let's see what happens. But I'd love to know what you think in the comment section after today's video. Would you renew Reiss Nelson's contract? And if so, what type of deal would you offer him? Now, I spoke to Thomas Partey after the game against Bournemouth on Saturday. Speaking in the mix zone after the game, I asked the Ghanaian international about his injury records at the club. You can read that interview over on football.london. But to give you the quotes of what he said, and he spoke to myself and some other journalists that were there after the game, but I asked him about his injury record and why his absence regarding injury has been so frequent for him. He says, well, I think it's adaptation. If you go from a different league, normal things happen. I am working on everything. I'm trying my best, and I am trying to help the team anytime I can. When I am ready and fit, I'll be ready to help the team. I mean, obviously, being in a situation where you change leagues does create an element of needing to adapt. It does create new challenges. But I think that, a lot of players manage to transition from one league to another without injury issues. It is slightly strange that at Atletico he missed, I think, 7 games in something like 5 or 6 years, and he's already lost he's missed nearly 40 games for Arsenal in the time that he's been at the club, in the less than 3 years that he's been at Arsenal. It just seems like something else is there beyond just a transition, and a lot of people have kind of talked about the idea that, is there something wrong with our medical team? Is there something wrong with the training pitches? But, Partey, when I spoke to him on Saturday, seemed to feel that the transition from La Liga to the Premier League was indeed the reason behind why he's faced such frequent and frustrating injury problems. Now, our last story of the day is, according to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal still are very much interested in Julian Brandt. The Borussia Dortmund midfielder has actually been linked to Arsenal a hell of a lot. We've been linked to him for the last 3 years, both in January and in the summer. This season, for a very successful Borussia Dortmund side, he has played 23 games, scoring 8 goals and getting 4 assists. He's a regular starter and has started all of their recent 10 wins at least in the Bundesliga, 8 wins on the trot. And of course, if you go into the Champions League, he started the first leg win against Chelsea as well. And if you look in the DFB Pokal, he also started their 2-1 win over Bochum too. Now, Arsenal was said to have an interest in the player still, and they're very interested in trying to sign the 26-year-old. His contract runs out in 2024. There's no denying that he's got a fantastic record this season for Dortmund. The question for me is, where on earth are you going to play him? Now, he can play as an attacking midfielder. He can play on the left and he can play on the right. He is very versatile and can play in a number of positions. But I'm just not sure where he fits. I just don't know where, if you've got Smith Rowe still here, if you've got Odegaard, if you've got Vieira, if you're bringing in a wide player in the summer as well. If we've been linked heavily with Lindstrom as well, who's more of a wide player, I'd say, than playing through the middle. I just don't necessarily see where on earth you fit Julian Brandt in. But with a year left on his deal, maybe it's an opportunity Arsenal are looking at. Certainly, if Reiss Nelson's staying, I don't know where on earth you're going to fit him in. but it is a very interesting situation. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Of course, I need to tell you about our prize. Gabriel Magalhaes remains the focus of Football Prizes competition. This has 1 day, 11 hours, 90 minutes and 42 seconds left, and 155 tickets have been sold, which means just 44 remain in the competition. So if you want to be with a chance of winning this fantastic Arsenal-related competition, go to the link in today's video description and you can get your hands on a ticket to potentially then get your hands on not just Gabriel, but you can also get the chance to win a signed and framed Alexander Zinchenko signed shirt, a signed and framed Nigel Winterburn photo montage, and similar of Gianni von Bronckhorst as well. So make sure, if you haven't already, you've got involved. Link in the description as always. Okay, let's go to part two. We're going to take some questions for the next 5 minutes or so before I rush off. So let's jump into that and not waste any more time. First things first, Unorthodox Fella. Fantastic name. Welcome so much. And thank you so much to joining us up, as well as Mini Mod Gooner joining up in the chat box as well. Thank you so much, everybody that becomes the brand new parts of the TGT family. If you want to join our Discord server, there is a new link in the community tab on the YouTube homepage of the channel. If you are an expert member or a TGT ambassador, you can join up. It's basically like the Discord server. Sorry, it's basically like the chat box, but in Discord form 24/7. So you don't have to wait around to the 8 a.m. shows to chat to some fantastic people about the beloved club that we all enjoy. Reggie, Tom, I'm wondering why you didn't follow up asking Partey and what he's doing in the Prem that he didn't have to do in La Liga that is leading to the injuries. Reggie, if you knew how competitive that it is in that mix zone to ask questions, you'd understand why. I basically get 1 or 2 questions, and as soon as you've finished answering one question, someone else jumps in to ask another one. So it's not just like me and him having a conversation. It's like several journalists in a crowd with one player all having their phones out, listening to and asking the question. So it's difficult, Reggie, to ask that. But I was just glad to get a question in, to be honest, on Saturday, and to get an answer and an explanation around specifically that. If I get the chance to speak to him again, then maybe we can follow that up. We'll have to wait and see. Brandt is agitating because they want to negotiate a better deal, says Tom. Wasn't he the guy that Edu had talked about not having the right frame of mind and Ode's talking about wages? I don't know. Edu, Julian Brandt. Let's see if that ever came up. I do vaguely remember that kind of story, but I don't see that coming up on the interweb. So you'd have to send me that link if indeed it is true. Igal, good morning to you, my friends. Hope you're doing good and well. Let's go to Ansa. Says if Arteta wants him for real, then I would want him too, and he would play as the left 8. Maybe that's the position that Brandt would indeed take hold of. Martin says, Tom, did you notice both Bournemouth goals should have been ruled out? 1 for an illegal kickoff. We talked about that yesterday. And 2 for a foul on White at the corner. Good old VAR. Yeah, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We did what we needed to do to get the win, but it's frustrating, obviously. And if we hadn't have won, then we would have been focusing on that a hell of a lot more. Ref Watch is, of course, going to be on Sky today. I'll be interested to see if they even touch upon the players being in the opposition half. We'll have to wait and see. Gavin says, can we recall Balogun at any time? No. As far as I'm aware, and my understanding is that players have recall clauses in their loan deals, and that is at certain times. And Balogun's and mostly all players have them in the January window. So once the January window closes, I don't think we can recall him anymore. That's my understanding of the situation. Afsar on Eddie's injury, we won't hear about that until Wednesday, until Arteta faces the press. But until then, I doubt we'll hear much more about it unless someone gets an inside line on that as well. So Nicholas says, what the heck, YouTube? I've been waiting in the lobby for 30 minutes and it says it's just started, and then it starts 12 minutes in. What I would say is at 8 a.m, refresh your feeds. Refresh it at 5 minutes in if it's not started by then, because I always start at least a minute, maybe 2 after 8 o'clock. We aren't 15 odd minutes late. So do refresh your stream. So there you go. Lavanja says, morning, Tom. Did you happen to watch all of the different reactions globally to the last minute Nelson goal? No one can tell me the foreign and global fans don't matter. I love this club. I did. I enjoyed it. I watched it Sunday morning, just scrolling through all the different reactions that we saw. It was glorious. So yes, I did. And you can join myself, Lev, Mo, tonight on the Arsenal Lounge at 8 p.m. So do indeed come over to the Arsenal Lounge tonight for our usual Monday evening show. It's going to be a good fun and a good laugh, I'm sure, as well. Egal says, Tom, should we rotate for the Europa League or should we be going full strength? I think we're going to see some full strength players come back into the starting lineup. Xhaka, Ben White, I think are going to start the game on Thursday. I think Arteta's rhetoric is going to be to try and get this kind of sorted and done and finished in the first leg. Because obviously we're in a situation where we've got a lot of games in the Premier League. And of course, we're then going to be in a position whereby we want to have a lot of rotation for the second leg so that we can then attack those Premier League games at full strength. So we want to get it done in the first leg. And as soon as that's done, and as soon as we've got that out of the way, we can move on and focus about what is obviously our priority. And again, Garang Trossard news, wait till Wednesday. Hopefully we'll get an update on that day. And yes, I agree with people saying that Reiss Nelson should indeed start the Europa League game because that is when his best opportunity to start is going to come. I don't think we have much of a choice. We're so light up top now with the options. I think it will probably be Nelson on the right, Martinelli through the middle, and probably Smith Rowe on the left, Fabio Vieira at cam, Xhaka at left 8, and then Jorginho at 6 with Tierney, White. I think Gabriel and Holding would probably be the team with Turner in goal. That's what I think it will be. Anyway, as I said at the start of the show, it's going to be a short show today and we're going to end things there. I've got to shoot off to grab a train, but thank you, everybody. Thank you to everybody. I really need to try and sort out the order of the words I want to use when I'm speaking so quickly. But thank you to everybody that has joined up as a new member. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in to watch today's show. Before you go, please drop a like on the video. It would mean the world if you could do that. Thank you to so many of you that watched yesterday evening show. It's rare that we obviously doing over 10K on our morning shows, has become a fantastic regularity, but in our evening shows as well, so many of you enjoyed yesterday evening show. It was great to see that. So thank you to everybody that's watched that and dropped a like on the video. It means the world. And Chris says with the donation, can you see if someone can sort out the room microphones in the conference room? I can never hear what the questions are. Unfortunately, Chris, it's just logistically not very feasible. It would take ages to go around the room with the microphone or to put the microphones in the other direction. It's very technical, and to be honest, I don't really understand most of it, but there you go. Anyway, thanks for listening. I'll catch you on the next one tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. and of course on the Arsenal Lounge tonight. See you soon. Have a fantastic start to your week. And as always, up the Arsenal.